introduce myself very quickly so that you can just start out right away with our program. I'm Dr. Habibullah Pathan, and I'm the Director of English Language Development Center in Miran University. I'm also a US alum. I was Hubert H. Humphrey Fellow. It was a kind of Fulbright status at two big universities. Once I went to the Boston University, where I spent 1 year, and then I went to MIT for my postdoctorate. So I spent 6 months to do my research in applied linguistics and language studies. So hope I'll try to help you with your statement of purpose. It's really technically not that much possible to talk about the statement of purpose in 30 minutes, but we will try to give you kind of information which help you get started. So that's a starting point, but I understand your deadline is 13 probably. So probably that will be more editing kind of things I'll be helping you with. So kind of icebreaker, I just don't want to make it a pure lecture form. I would like you to really speak and ask your questions. So I'll start off with that. So what do you think as SOP called the statement of purpose? Any responses from you?
So your visual image to the judges or the owner of the video. So it's our visualized.
Okay. Okay, so probably is anybody else? Any response from you?
Sir, it shows your overall personality, the things which you have done in your past, and what are you,
Okay.
and who are you.
The other question would be, for example, how many documents are submitting with the application pack when you're applying for undergrad? Anybody else? You are submitting a couple of documents with your application. So what those documents are, for example?
Motivation letter, letter of recommendations, SOPs, and transcripts,
Right, your transcript, your
extracurricular
degree, or whatever you have,
certificate.
extra co-curricular activities. So there's a huge amount, for example, a number of documents that are submitting. You're submitting one page or short, I mean, you have the number of words, a statement of purpose that you're submitting. So tell me something about importance of a statement of purpose and the other documents that you're submitting with your application pack. What is most important? What is least important? What is most important? Are both of these documents important? One is more important, the other one has least importance. What do you think? How would you really write about it?
So both the things are important because in the statement of purpose, we write the things which we have done. Okay, overall we are showing our personality. In the certificates, we are giving them the proof that we have done that thing. So I think that both things are important.
Okay, so I think this is a wonderful response. You want to say anything? No. So see, I'll just leave the rostrum and come and interact directly with you here. How many applications are received, by the way? Because I'm also the member who sits on the committees for Fulbrighters and Humphreys also. So what do you normally think? How many applications are received by USCFP?
I guess
Here.
12,000.
In thousands. In
12,000.
thousands. Everybody has almost similar credentials,
Yes, sir.
grades, co-curricular activities, transcripts,
Yes, sir.
right? In thousands, everybody's there. So what attracts examiners?
Difference, which difference you have,
Right.
which makes you different from others.
What makes you different from others? And what differentiates? And what's that particular document that differentiates you from others? Probably one form is SOP, right? So one more thing. Probably you must have read a lot of websites there. They're very good websites. Help you write it, but never copy because that comes under plagiarism because USCFP, when they solve their applications, there's some software that actually detects whether you plagiarized specific piece from the website or taken from the ex-alum or people that have already applied. So never do that, right? Probably take a model but never copy. Because once you do that, probably go off. Because they have the software that will automatically show that you plagiarized from that of the student or from this website. So that will be a kind of stealing somebody else's intellectual property, and that would be counted negative, I tell you. Probably never do that. I was reading through while preparing for this talk, although I couldn't really have time to prepare much about it. One word I read about statement of purpose, and that was about the control, right? That was about control, steering, your car steering. Do you have control with the grades? do you have control on your grades at the moment when you're applying? No, you've got A grade, A1 grade, B grade, you don't have control anymore. That's it. And I'm reading some very good websites say, it's a matter of past. You can't change it now, right? The other thing is your TOEFL, for example, language scores. Although you might not need at this stage, but probably when you're applying for the Fulbright scholarships in future, you would for sure need GRE, TOEFL examination to actually compete with other applications. Probably you don't have control there as well, because that is systematic, a standardized test, and many factors influence your score there. There's only one document you have control over, which is called SOP, which is your architects of your future, your selection process. Nothing else. Even your reference letters, although you choose your referees yourself, but you cannot make their mind. Although a lot of good teachers, they write SOP for you, probably help you. It's not going to really not a good idea. You should do it yourself. So I need what mic?
Yeah, you can speak on
So can I have that mic?
They just want to accommodate over here.
Or,
Okay.
so can you come? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, so to take everybody on board, we were talking about do's and don'ts about writing an SOP, which is an integral part, a deciding factor, one of the deciding factors for the application. So probably, am I audible like this without a mic even?
Yes.
So I said I use mic. Without mic, okay. So I was talking to them, many people just came here. I said there was only one document in an entire application pack on which you have or over which you have control. The rest of them are out of your control. Your grades are not in your control. Your language tests, you don't have control anymore. Your references, your referees, for example, probably not, because you will choose your referees yourself, but you cannot write on their behalf. For sure, they will write and send their letters directly to the USCFP, or they will do whatever. I remember sharing experiences, because it's always good to have the grand narratives, because that will get you definitely through that process. I was part of a Humphrey Fellowship examination committee. I was checking one application, and there was only one letter called the reference from one of the professors, and he wrote one statement for applicant, and he wrote, I would be happy to recommend the applicant only with the strong reservations. You get it?
Yes.
If there was a sentence like that, I would be happy. I mean, I don't know, you just wrote, probably we are language people, so we actually do not read in halves, we read completely in the context. So I would say he's not happy, but he's just writing as a part of probably a process. But the real sentence is, I recommend him only with the strong reservations. And probably that could be the factor which devastates somebody's future or chances of getting through that. But my advice would be then choose the referees or nominate referees who you think would give you some kind of, if not very positive, but neutral feedback about your achievements or about your personality, or people who know you. Do not give names of people who are not sure about, because they sometimes send a letter to a USCFP and they don't know what actually are they going to write about. So this was the case I just told you, probably because you actually nominated somebody you didn't know. And that one document only, the application otherwise was excellent. But only one document said, okay, done. Because we're not gonna, because referee's not gonna recommend you for this particular scholarship, okay? Okay, so coming back to SOP, statement of purpose, the document you have control over. Something you do not submit probably the midnight of the deadline. You say, okay, let me keep writing here, let me submit, right? You do that. That's the only document you can submit 1 minute before the deadline. And there's a reason for that. Try to give the best of about you to the examiner, because that's the only chance, remember, because they haven't called you for interview yet. Interview is the next step. That's the only chance you have to interact with the examiners, with the assessors, before everything else. You're interacting. That's in writing form, but that's communication. You're communicating to the examiner, this is my real self, although I have a standardized test, everything letters, but this is me, right? You need to be very careful about it, and people mistake it here. People mistake it here. They write everything but exactly that's what the stereotype. Probably everybody is writing the similar way. They say, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and then that's only the common document we need to select. No. You need to say, I am different, I stand out, I'll outshine, right? And that's only one document that will tell you about it, although your grade will be counted, because that's what you will be shortlisted, but that will make you, or you will outshine with the representation or through the words or whatever you're using to SOP. So the first part would be, we in our language and linguistics we call the rubric, right? In somebody else's shoes. That's the word they use. If you see some of the websites they have, if you want to think like other person, what you do? You are in somebody else's
Shoes. Right.
So what does it mean?
Sir, it simply means we need to write according to their point of view.
Good, perfect. So you need to think that, for example, if I were to select a cohort of students for this prestigious program, what would I see in that particular student? So be very honest to yourself. Are you eligible, qualified to be part of that particular program? And what make you distinguish you from other people is that you need to do audience analysis. You're writing SOP at the moment for the examiners, for the evaluators. So see their expectation, what they want you to do. Okay? So that's expectation right from the beginning. Okay? There's no standard format, I tell you. There's no standard format. But whatever the format is, you need to be very honest, right? And represent best in you. What is that one particular thing that say, okay, this is my point. This is something that will help me. I remember I was teaching to the US people, they were leaving for the US for their one semester exchange and they wanted to write the SOP. So I told them, tell me, okay, they were giving me some boring facts. Okay, I'm not impressed. Tell me something which should hook. Click me, yes, this is something I want to write. So probably quoted something very personal. How he came out. For example, a lot of women who write, I come from the rural area where actually there are scant opportunities of learning, and probably I'm the only one girl from my entire family, right, coming to this engineering program. Or I'm like that. That is a point, probably something that clicks, right? Emotional. You're actually being very emotionally attached. You're showing that I'm very much emotionally attached with that particular topic. So remember, you have to tell your story. Remember, this is not any scientific thing, although you would use the scientific conventions of writing, but this is probably not a very technical thing. It has emotion attached to it. And once you use that, we call it emotional intelligence, if you attach that, with that, there are chances that you get through the next process of interview, or probably they like it, okay, I like this guy, let's give him some additional or extra marks on that, because he's different from the other cohorts, other people who have already assessed the copy, all right? So remember, that's one point. So whatever you're reading on the website, you get a lot of samples. The first thing is model it, never copy. Never copy. Take a model, okay, read, okay, I like it, but then quote your own story, right? Original thing, because cheating or stealing somebody else's intellectual property will ultimately lead to disqualification, and that's for sure, because I know that we've seen those cases. And there's softwares. I asked one of the employees of USCFP, because we were sitting on the committee, do you have any software? We don't have only one software, we have multiple softwares. So that means they run your document through that particular software, you know it's taken from there, taken from there, taken from there. So instead you have time. If you copy, please rethink. Rethink. That will definitely disqualify you from the next process. Write original. Okay? I already had some responses from the people, so we actually get started, some do's and don'ts about it. So how would you actually write, for example, what is SOP? So there are a couple of points I'll just quickly tell you the definition about. So it's your chance to tell the examiner who you are. The first thing, it's actually You're telling your examiners who you are. What has influenced you throughout your life? Yes. See, I'm not using any of my professional expertise yet, right? That will come for sure at later stage. What are your professional interests? What is your plan from now and on? From this point onwards, let's say 10 years, right? What's particular plan that you have? And remember, one challenging part is you're stating everything this in form of anecdote, a story, or any inspirational thing. So it's basically a storytelling, your story, which should be inspiring, which should let the reader read everything that you've done here. Am I clear with the definition? Are you sure about the definition now? So what's SOB?
What's your plan? What's your personality? What's story? All about your story.
And its experiences about.
Telling the examiner who you are.
Exactly. You want to apply for this one, what's your plan, and what differentiates you got?
So in the form of a story, we are telling that who we are in an inspiring way that attracts the examiners
Exactly.
in the form of audience.
Exactly. You got to get it
So
like that.
we will tell about the goals, visions we are having.
Definitely. That's the vision. But remember, even vision presented in a language which doesn't have any emotional appeal to the person. How many things we read? For example, if you just go through university, you'll find, or probably some other places, you'll find hundreds of quotes written. But there should be a place where you stop. Okay, this is something I need to stop.
Right.
This is something very different, really clicks me like that. There is an emotional attachment. You should write like that. Right? That would be your chance. That examiner will read it. Okay, he has an inspiring story. Otherwise, I tell you, thousands of people are applying. Everybody has a bachelor, second, third year, good grades. Everybody got A's and 70s and 80s. That doesn't differentiate you, right? Doesn't. I mean, that will count for sure. That will count, but that's not the only deciding factor, right? This is one of the deciding factors which will differentiate you from the other credentials that you might have. Clear? So there's one particular definition. One way to think about your PS, which is called statement of purpose, is that in general, undergraduate programs are interested in you as a person and what you may offer to enrich their overall university or community. In this way, what will you do? You can replace the word university community. For sure, you'll be in the university. Probably overall, when you come back to Pakistan or the community that you mix up there, right? So what difference are you going to make there? That's the basic definition that we have. Can we go to the next slide? This is probably one of the UCLA graduate division. So it describes your brain, probably. We call it that grit, I call it. For example, if you're a scientist, if you're a business person, an engineer, an artist, probably you want to show that too as well, because that's one of the major parts of your personality. So take from one of the graduate students, and they said that it describes your brain, the scientist you have become and will grow to be. Okay? You are now the scientist, and any personal information should be related to your scientific approach and how you will enrich the scientific world. So whatever you're studying, definitely in the process of making yourself a good scientist, a doctor, engineer, an artist, a teacher, whatever you are, definitely you need to explain what's your mind about it. Everybody's a doctor, everybody's an engineer. But what is that particular one thing that makes us say, okay, I normally ask questions to a lot of people in the science, give me definition of mathematics. And they will give me a very dogmatic definition of mathematics, and I say, no, that's not. If you write like this, I'm not impressed. Because I can find this in dictionary. What is mathematics to you? What is medicine to you? What is engineering to you? That matters. I mean, everybody knows what is electrical or what is biomedical or what is civil engineering. Everybody knows it. What is engineering to you? For example, I ask you, what is engineering to you? What is medicine to you? What will you reply? You need to think about it. You will give me dogmatic definition, right? You talk about anatomy, physiology, everything. But what does that do? Yeah, probably one passion, and then you will for sure exemplify with that. So, for example, somebody if you ask me what is mathematics, and I would tell them no, it's nothing but quantifier of facts, truths, something you can quantify, truths that you can quantify, right? In measurable figures. That's mathematics to me. Right? Anything, it can be anything, but facts and figures. And that's how you should relate. Whatever you're reading, it should relate directly. And using examples. Go ahead, please, next. So, I've quickly done with the 5 stages of writing an SOP. Although, as I say, a good workshop always helps. Doesn't help much, but at least you should know what are do's and don'ts about writing an SOP. So we start with brainstorming, doing your homework, reflecting and brainstorming. Stage 3, outlining of your statement of purpose. 4th would be writing and drafting of accurate statement of purpose. And it would be ask for a critique, revise and edit, which I think the most integral part at the end, which is called a peer review, or teacher or anybody who you trust can read it for you and give you a very honest feedback. Quickly then, to your first stage. This is very important. Do your homework. Browse through the websites of the school departments or the scholarship programs of your interest. Obtain brochures, which you can't do it, right? Highlight the aspects of the program that appeal to you. For example, somebody gave an example. Why do you want to go to the US to study? There was a way, yeah.
I want to experience everything and I want to see the different way of education.
Okay. Okay, for sure, like that. So why want to study specific energy in the United States? Right now.
Facilitate in the career. Standard education.
Standard education, probably something else. Yeah.
So for example, I belongs to English department. This is much more connected to language and education.
Yeah.
I will bring certain type of policy from there to my country to serve my
Okay.
nation.
Could be something else like that, but we can also share. There was one statement which I took. I was browsing through a couple of examples. I will read that out to you, but somebody. I mean, yeah, keep talking.
So, for example, I belong to law, Department of Law.
Okay.
So, I want to go to USA to see the law, how that law is implemented in the US. Which
And how
method we should
how would
use.
it be useful in your particular country?
Yes.
Okay. This is one of the ways you can probably put in there. Anybody, any alum here? Any U-grade alum here? I think there are a couple. Where are the others?
They are all outside.
They're all outside. Okay. All right. Probably they could help. Anybody applied last year? Last semester? Okay.
We can
Okay.
call them.
No, it's
any
okay.
of them.
Probably won't have much time. Anyways, I read one statement to you. Probably, as I said, you don't need to write like that because probably that's from somewhere. It is a strong belief in my family that American education system has the best to offer in the whole world. The belief arises out of the experience that my parents had when they did their Masters of Sciences in the University of Pennsylvania during the years 1967 and 69. If I can get an opportunity to be part of that intellectually stimulating environment, I'm sure my talents will be put to an optimal use. Do you see the context in the statement? You see the context in the statement?
Yes,
It's
sir.
a personal thing. Tells me something who you are. It's a desire which is there and which is inherent, comes from the family. I've heard a lot of stories, a lot of tales from. And this, remember, this is not only for the parents. Probably you can have somebody, your hero, your inspiration, anything like that. You can quote it right away. That was a specific person based in US. That's a particular department. For example, Harvard, MIT, okay? The other people, for example, an MIT who, right? You should know a couple of people if you don't have that family background, probably to make a difference and say, there was a person. That will help you in the interview as well, I tell you. That will actually help you. And I remember because I had dreamed to work with Professor Noam Chomsky.
Oh.
right? And that was the only motivation for me to go to the United States. I tell you, that was the only thing. And I told, I had a PhD degree from Glasgow, and the first question they asked me, you already have studied like highest qualification from the equally, developed country like United Kingdom. Why do you want to go to US? Tell us one good reason. Although I wrote a statement, but something that differentiated me from probably other applications was this: my desire to work with the leading figure, and why am I inspired by the person? And he was probably inspiration to join the field of linguistics, right? Probably that was one strong factor. And I tell you, that happened. That happened. I said, how are you going to contact him? It's really very challenging. But remember, I just went there. I gave them a plan. I'm going to work with him, and it happened. I worked with him for 6 months.
Wow.
I really worked. That was probably a very successful story. And they say sometimes impossible because he received thousands of applications of postdoc. He will not read your application, will never reply your email at all. But I tell him, no, it's going to happen. And when I was writing my plan, I will call them IPP, which is probably how do you achieve your dreams. Probably that was something I quoted, and that would differentiate it. So you need to make a plan, which maybe looks very crazy, but you need to make it happen in the years to come. And that's possible. I tell you, nothing is impossible. Be crazy. Dream, right? Dream, and I'm sure you can achieve it. You will achieve it. I know we have different opinion in the US, but that's a really land of opportunity. You have full liberty to do whatever, and I tell you, you're going to love it. Those people who can make it, going to love it, make your career, make your future, a lot of opportunity, a lot of liberty to do whatever you wish to do, whatever you wish to achieve. So actually, that's the right place that you'll be going. But that's the place, Andrew, what will differentiate you from thousands of applications they've received so far. So you need to first of all research, okay? Research may be at this stage a type of program that you want to go, or probably types of courses you want to do, including leadership, community development, not only your specific field, but you also see the other points also. Not only engineering, medicine, linguistics, philosophy, but leadership development, community, okay? And culture. Remember, these are catchy words, these are your words. So you cannot separate your culture. Remember, they will love it because you will, when you go there, you'll see you're part of Thanksgiving events or Easter, or you're celebrating with that community. So they will also see your potential, how you become part of that, how would you contribute to that particular local community of people as well. And when you come back, how would you contribute? So remember, these are the catchy words. Culture, okay? And it should reflect somewhere in your application, okay? Probably your own field, your own motivation, right? When you come back, what is giveaway, right? These are the words that you should remember, and research that. Point 2, read up interest in the projects faculty if you want to do it. Probably if you see some universities, probably see what research or what courses are offered in what university. Probably that's not in your control at this stage, but do it if you wish to. 3, the recent articles of research field of interest and try to get general understanding of how this field developed and how it had current problems and challenges. For example, many are going there probably to have some courses on energy problems. Many will go do the medicine courses, somebody will do the leadership course. So where those particular big guns are, and what is their contribution to the field, right? So you need to see. For example, I can speak about my own field. Linguistics was, modern linguistics was born at MIT. I know that because I'm very confident about it, right? MIT, and its founder was Noam Chomsky. I know his interest, and that was my focus, right? Exactly. But I also had the other options. What are other options? Another university. Because remember, you have an opportunity to navigate to probably some other conferences, courses, or activity that you'll be doing, but you know where those opportunities are available to you. So probably research that. Next, quickly. Okay, now this is very important. Reflect and brainstorm. What and when were the major moments in your life that have led you to your current research interest in the school departments and programs? very important for you to answer this question right away in your SOP. Although you can't write everything in SOP, but remember, it's very important. For example, somebody last semester showed me SOP, and I think she got succeeded also, and she was successful. And she wrote, for example, about energy crisis in Pakistan. Right? She talked about load shedding and very grounded point, right? And then I want to bring some policy which mitigate the gap between the supply and generation in the country. Very effective. Because you know actually what you are going to do there. So you want to study policy, plan, whatever, where, and where did that motivation come from? Real life example. So that electricity shutdown or power cut, these are the real life examples. For example, in medicine, you could talk about the health issues faced by people in the rural countries or rural areas of the country. Probably that was your motivation, to see how mortality rate, right, or people dying of cancer, every person, know the number. Or for example, somebody wants to study water, talk about the number in the water contamination, what is happening. Know your numbers. For example, somebody wants to study education, I always give this example, know that 25 million children are out of school today. 6 million children will never see school in their entire life from now on today. These are numbers, they speak volumes of your patient, because once you are showing your passion, and so remember, they are going to work wonders for you in your SOP. So know your numbers, quote them through words and figures. Probably very good ground, good context for you. So research what or who influenced your decision or interest, role model, what quality about them appealed to you. Probably that was, I've already spoken. Start preparing, they know the dates. This is the month they'll advertise, this is the month they will give me the decision. They start 1 year at least prior to the advertisement. They start their preparations. Okay, I need to submit, need the reference letter, need to improve my GRE score right away. That's important, right? They start doing like that. So you want to achieve anything, remember you need a lot of preparation. It's always 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. There's no shortcut, I tell you. They're lucky people like Mark. They're lucky people like Facebook founder. But there's only 1%. We call it plutocracy. There's only 1%, right? Lucky people in the world. 99% people have to toil to achieve things. And remember, you should, at the moment, include yourself in that. So it has to be 99% perspiration. Start preparing. And when you follow the process, definitely there is a logical connection in the process, and you will go directly to the result. You will achieve your result if you follow a logical process. But if somebody started yesterday, okay, I'm applying it in 1 day, no worries. It can happen, but that would be a miracle. Right? Preparation is important. There are smart people I know, they work smart, right? But that's only 1%, less than 1%. Okay, research. Why did you, okay. What are your career goals? What do you see yourself in 10 years from now? What do you hope to accomplish? What drives you? What motivates you? Remember, this is rubric. You need to answer everything in that short SOP. You need to write everything in that short SOP. What you're going to do. Probably you won't write like this. In next 10 years, probably show your plan for the future. A good plan for future would be when you come back, what happens? Right? When you go US, what happens? That's also one of your plans. And that will be a part of your 10 years planning from right up. Probably not use exactly the 10 years right away. Next. From the stage 2 that we've already spoken about, now the next part, determine a central theme topic that stands out or dominates your reflection, that brainstorm. You get it? In past stages, you have many points. But now is a point, you need to tell yourself, what is my central theme point that stands out or dominates my reflection or brainstorm? Get it? Take only that one point and then revolve around everything, right? every experience that you have. But start with the brainstorming, and then select one particular point, and then start writing it out. Okay, next please. Using bullet points to brief common statements, organize your reflections, brainstorm that strengthens the central theme topic of your statement purpose. Concentrate on your life experiences and give specific examples. Okay? Put down only those things that excite you. Do not make things up. What does the third thing mean? Do not make things up.
Do not exaggerate the things.
Probably do not exaggerate things, or do not tell me something which does not exist. You're just creating it in order to get through the examination. It doesn't come directly from your heart. You just created it.
Cannot mingle things.
Yeah? You created a story. But remember, something that you create, which you do not belong from something that does not belong, probably won't be that effective. It has to come directly from there. As I told you, there's a concept nowadays called emotional intelligence. You need to, right? You need to do use emotion intelligently, right? Intelligently, I tell you. Show that you're an emotionally intelligent person. Next, please. You outline covered areas and probably what aspects of the school department that you feel. I've spoken about it. What are your research interests probably, and what did become interested in? I've already spoken about it. We go quickly to the next stages where can you go up? Yeah. And next. And next. All right. Okay. Can you go back one? All right. Oh yes. Yeah. When writing your statement of purpose, and I tell you, vocabulary plays very important role. A lot of people use vocabulary for sake of using vocabulary. You get me what I say?
Yes, sir.
Using words for sake of using words, which is not a good idea. Because then the chances that you misuse those words. You need to be very careful because people check it. What does that mean? People are checking your scripts or your documents. They are experts. Okay? They will do this. What does it mean? Probably looks like rot read or somebody has memorized and reproduced the text. Please avoid that. Write words. It's plain words. Don't use words when you're not sure. Plain English words. That will help you. So what is it? Always use positive language when referring to yourself. A positive language which should show hope. Right? Although it can show the challenges that you face in your life, but do not show despondency. Do not show hopelessness. Although you face a lot of challenges, but there is hope. So use a positive language, and they'll say this is a person who's not pessimist. Because remember, they will understand from the very language what kind of person are you. Although in my communication skill classes we always talk about the big multinational companies, they always give you one pro forma, one questionnaire before you went in the interview. And based on that particular questionnaire, they decide, is this the person right for the company or not? And remember what this do, attitude, motivation, drive, vision, and they understand everything from their own questionnaire. They are not speaking with you yet, but based on a questionnaire they've sent out, they will understand what is your vision, what kind of personality you have. So remember, if you're using that one, that will reflect your personality, whatever language that you're using. So always be optimistic, positive about the use of language.
Psychological analysis.
Psychoanalysis is probably we call textualism. Whatever you do. So be very positive using it. Give detailed but concise examples. Use transition words, sentences, and paragraphs. Your statement must read smoothly. Little technical for you. So what is transition word, sentence, and paragraph? That will help you navigate into the text. What is transition word? What is the smooth paragraph and all? That will help examiner understand, navigate through the text that you're writing. For example, what that would be?
So there should be coherence and cohesion.
And I like my country. Semicolon. However, remember the word however is telling me that you're going to say something opposite to what you've said in the past. So they look for these words. I tell you, what statement are you going to say? So we look for the transition words or these words that you're using. Or for example, I mentioned 4 or 5 qualities in me. For example, if I say, I have good attitude, personality, comma, more specifically, motivation and drive for this task. You get it? You get it? What I say? You've written all the qualities in a row, comma, more specifically, comma. That means the word drive and motivation is something you want to highlight,
Emphasize.
It is
not the
more
other one, yeah?
It is more
So this is something that defines you, although many things define you. But what defines you the most is this. For that I've used some transition words. So it's your job, remember, I tell you, it's your job to guide the examiner, read your way, not his way. If you give him open chance, read whatever you understand. What will happen? He will understand from his own perspective. Guide him, navigate him, help him read through the way you've written. And how that will happen? Through these words. You will help him. Now read like that. In addition, right? Contrast. However, whereas, okay? And like opposite, specifically. Use certain kind of terms when you navigate into the text, so that you specifically help him read these words for you. Okay, stop it there. All right, go next. Okay, quickly, if it is fine. Sorry, go back. Refrain from. Go back. Oh, yeah. After avoid. Yeah, go to the next. Refrain from stating neighboring paragraphs the same way. The worst thing is redundancy. What is called?
Redundancy.
Repetition. Using the same word over and over again. You say, I don't know what has he written. You've talked about your personal thing, and you're in the second paragraph you're saying the same thing. Third, you're repeating that thing, repeating the similar words: attitude, attitude, motivation, motivation, drive, 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 passion, passion, passion. I said no. It's a very limited vocabulary. Probably not a good idea. Do not repeat more than once. Probably twice is okay. Do not repeat. If you repeat it, probably it'll be a little boring to read that out. Okay? And refrain from repeating yourself. Probably not over relying the experience that you say, according to me, as I say, as I believe, and all, right? Probably it has to be a mixture of first I, which is called your experience, and also objective reality also. So not always I, which is a good thing. You'll start with I. But not always. You got to be little objective as well. So it has to be a kind of mixture. Can you go ahead? A strong opening and closing. I tell you, well begun is more than half done. I repeat. Well begun is more than half done. Your first paragraph should be catchy. Work on that, please. Work on that. Okay? That will work wonders for you. Please, if you've already written that, check your first paragraph again. Does it define me? Does it give the examiner room to decide or think positive about my personality overall? Never write something which is cursory, which is showing superfluous things, right? Superficial things like, I am Habib, I am from electrical department and the 4th year, 3rd year, I got 3.5 GPA, right? And I want to, how does it look? How does it look? Yeah, how does it look? You're introducing, I'm from this right village, came to Mehranj in 97, for example, got this GPA, and looking forward for the next grade. How does it look?
So static.
Very boring.
Very boring
Yeah.
and static.
Everybody's writing probably like that. Please avoid, if you have written this, time to rethink. Time to rethink. Right? Time to rethink. Your first opening paragraph should be good. Okay? Probably in a couple of lines. And closing, I call it pyramid and inverted pyramid. Open and close your paragraph compact way. In the middle you can do whatever you like, but open and close it in inspirational way. And how would you do it? Actually, that will require a lot of work. What do you think about it? Can you go ahead? Look at the timing. Okay. Ask for critique. Remember, I tell you this is the best thing. But somebody you trust. Somebody you trust. You may be. This is the last point. Probably have the question. The best thing is editing. A lot of people who miss this part because probably they're overstressed, overburdened sometimes. They just want to submit it. You say, I just want to submit it and get away and go party, right? Before that, yeah, it's a very stressing process, I know, right? It's a very stressing process. It's a very big application for every scholarship. I tell you, somebody you trust, somebody who will not steal it and send your SOP under his name, right? Find that person. Find that person. Although the great buddies, they do it. So do not show it to your buddies. Okay, do show it. Okay, yeah. So somebody you think can give me neutral, positive, negative, whatever feedback. Critique is both positive and negative. Critique means is a criticism on your thing. So tell him, read it, and tell me, does it reflect me? And also see some editing kind of thing. Where have I missed some spelling mistake, full stop, comma? I tell you, when I was doing assessment there, I really got frustrated. A lot of people like Commissioner, DIGs, for example, they were applying it. And probably we understood, they're very busy people. Some of his PA must have written it. So he was maybe giving a dictation. And I had an impression, 100% impression, this can't be written by this person. Probably somebody, his PA or some secretary or junior must have done it for him. It cannot be for them. Because making so small mistakes of comma, small capital letter, all this, I tell you, it shows your seriousness. Have you written this one with serious intention of it? And you have not left any stone unturned to see it's near perfect. So probably do not underestimate the small things, even the commas, full stops, capital letters or small letters or whatever. So check it. Ask your friends. Even give feedback to that level. Check it for me, please. See, is it connected? Do you think it defines me? Is opening paragraph good? Defines me? Is a big closing? So do like that, okay? So probably we've done it so far. Can you go to? I think it's the last period, right? So that's probably I say in half hour it's not possible to do it, but I just told you what are do's and don'ts about writing an SOP, and I'm sure when you just finally submit your application pack, you will read one more time, right? Happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.